Hi guys, Bran here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, I'm going to be giving you some advice, some tips on how to better face the Xenomorph, because the Xenomorph has been my main since the day the character dropped. This character has been my main. That's why the homie just kind of shows up above me now, usually where there's nothing above me. So this is my main character. I've been playing him pretty much non-stop, besides a build request here or there on my stream at twitch.tv/TheMrHeadache if you want to come hang out on that side of things. But a lot of people have been very, very frustrated with facing the Xenomorph, even saying as much as that they are going to quit the game until they nerf this character. And I'm going to tell you some things that I have faced that I have found particularly frustrating, or to be good counterplays that have put me down, made me unable to succeed as well while playing this character. That way you can have a better time facing this character. So let's go ahead and get some tips on how you can better face the Xenomorph. First off, I want to say that yes, the tail does not have much of a windup. It does, in fact, have a windup. It does. It has a 0.5 second windup, which is not a lot. Not a lot, which is not very reactive. A lot of people have made a lot of suggestions for this, like a sound cue, just extending the windup to like a full second. People made a lot of recommendations for this. I'd be cool with either. Just throwing that out there, since, you know, kind of like the made for this conversation, where I think it's a little overblown how much people are whining about it. Yes, it does deserve to have something happen to it. Now, if it's anything like the made for this conversation, people are just going to yell at me anyway, but like, I don't know. I can't help you, man. Sorry. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It could use something, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Because there are plenty of survivors that I face that, you know, are very good at baiting the tail, and, you know, they put me on really long loops. So, I don't know. Anyways, getting into your tips on how to beat Xenomorph. First off, the turrets are mandatory. The turrets are mandatory. I think the big thing I see with a lot of, like, people that complain about the turrets is that it's not a guaranteed knockout of the Xenomorph out of its power, and the Xenomorph can run add-ons like the emergency helmet and Lambert star map in order to avoid getting knocked out of their power with the turrets. But a lot of people are not seeing the value in the turrets, and I will tell you the value of the turrets. The value of the turrets, even if it does not knock the Xenomorph out of their power, it's to buy you time and opportunity to reach loops that are safer and better for you. So if you notice, every single time the Xenomorph is put under a flame effect, they are literally slowed down. They're literally slowed down, and there's nothing they can do about this. Even if they, you know, go and they attack the turret the moment they can, they do not have much ability to do anything about the slowdown. They are going to be slowed for the amount of time they have before they actually break it, and that slowdown matters. When you slow that killer, it matters. So use that time to make distance to other loops. Don't forego the turrets and say, well, the turrets are useless just because they don't knock him out of his power. The turrets have a lot of utility. If you really, really want to knock him out of his power, the answer to that is put 2 down, set up 2. That way you can knock him out of his power early. I've seen people do that. But honestly, your main thing is to use the turrets to slow down the Xenomorph so you can buy time to get to a safe loop, or just use it as info. A lot of people right now are still trying to figure out what's optimal in the Xenomorph. A lot of them are trying to run, like, you know, stealth perks that give them undetectable, or the add-ons that give them undetectable. Obviously, those perks are made trivial and useless if you just hear where they are. And that info goes across to your team. Like, whenever you're hearing the Xenomorph scream, that is a map-wide thing. So even if you're not necessarily doing anything super crazy with the turret, you are letting the rest of the team know that, hey, even without being in chase, they're actively over here on somebody or near something, near one of their turret pods. So there's info with that too that's definitely worth giving. Also with the turrets, I see a lot of people place them very awkwardly. You got to keep in mind that when a Xenomorph first emerges from the tunnels, that the turrets are turned off very, very briefly. So what Xenomorphs will do is, if you climb up out of the little turret holes, that they'll just stand over your turret and wait for it to immediately activate and smack it right away, which obviously you get no value out of. So I would put them a little bit further out. Like putting them near the turrets is a very, very smart idea, because that's forced value, because they have to come out of the turrets, right? But put them a little bit further away. Space them out just a little bit. That way, you know, that cooldown time, that when a Xenomorph first comes out of the little turret holes and the turrets are inactive, that it gives them time to turn on and actually get some value. I see that error a lot. I see a lot of people make that mistake, and it kind of makes the turrets useless. I agree. I think the big thing that I see a lot, which is kind of like a big brain thing, is put your turrets in foliage. Kind of think of the turrets like trapper traps. Like, you would put a trapper trap just out in the middle of nowhere, you put the trapper trap like hidden. You hide it. And I see a lot of people do this with the turrets, is they'll put a turret in a bush. Dead Dog's awful for this. Like almost everywhere on the map there's a bush. So on Dead Dog, I can't see these things till they're right on top of me, and that knocks me out of my powder like nearly constantly. So another great tip for the turrets is just put them in the bushes. Put them in bushes, put them in foliage, put them around corners. That way the Xenomorph is less likely to insta-react, because if you put them just like out in the middle of nowhere, they're going to see it coming a mile away. They're going to prep their tail attack, and they're going to smash the turret immediately. But if you put it like around a corner or in a bush, like they're much less likely to be able to react to it, and that might actually get the knockout of the power that you want so badly. So turrets are not optional. Turrets are very, very mandatory, and these are the ways that use them better. I think the second thing, and this is more tied to the tail thing, is like you got to play this character like you play Nemesis, like you play against a Nemesis. Because Nemesis, in his tier 3, or even just in his tier 2, there's a lot of just outright lose-lose situations against Nemesis where you can't do anything. Either you throw the pallet and he hits you over the pallet, or you vault the window, he hits you over the window, or you throw the pallet, he takes the pallet. So it's kind of like that sort of situation where just him being able to do that in itself is kind of a win-win, which I know is very, very frustrating for people. But you do have to play against Xenomorph like you do against Nemesis. So that means faking like you're going to a pallet and then jerking right or left last minute. The good thing about Xenomorph's tail is that it does not have the same click drag properties as Nemesis's click drag properties do. The Xenomorph can click drag, but it is affected by collision. Nemesis's tentacle whip click drag is not affected by collision. The Xenomorph's is. So if you go behind a corner, the tail will strike the corner. And collision, you know, as I have found out through Huntress, Billy, Blight, so many characters that I have played, collision is very disgusting and very wonky in Dead by Daylight. It's very lazy, very sloppy. Not the perk. So if you are, hugging corners, putting as much obstacles between you and the Xenomorph as possible, the tail will hit those. Not like Nemesis, where they can just kind of like click drag, cover a whole area, be kind of lazy with it. Xenomorphs actually, for the most part, do have to hit you, because collision will stop them in their tracks if they hit something. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. But the main thing here is obviously you want to be like baiting hits. You want to pretend like you're going towards a resource, so it'd be a pallet or a window, and suddenly jerk left, jerk right. You definitely want to be kind of making it ambiguous where you're going and kind of like trying to bait as if it were like a Nemesis tentacle or even like a demo shred. I heard that comparison too. It's like a demo shred. Like you're trying to trick the demo into thinking you're going through a window, and then you jerk last second out of the way, and then he lunges into the window and you all laugh at him. It's kind of like that. You got to like make the Xenomorph think you're doing something and then do something else like last second. That way that even though, it's hard to tell when the tail whip is coming, because if they're on all fours, they're in their crawler mode, you don't know. It could happen anytime. But you got to think about getting ahead of the player. Like, when would be a good time to throw my tentacle whip? Or sorry, my tail slap. When would be a good time to throw my tail slap? And just play with that expectation. And the people that I have fought that have been really, really good at this have bought like 15, 20 seconds of chase time just by being super ambiguous and super tricky with where they're going. So I would not, I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. Trust me. I played Survivor when this character came out too, and I faced them, twice an hour. So like, I've been there. I've been through it, but it is possible. It is possible. Okay, this one's a little bit more specific, but this is kind of a main error that I've seen people do while facing the Xenomorph. It's like I said, it's not really like a hey, you should do this. This is a don't do this. How you should go about this is don't pre-drop against the Xenomorph. Do not pre-drop against the Xenomorph, because like with most other characters in Dead by Daylight, pre-dropping is the safest, albeit the most boring option in Dead by Daylight, because while you can get the mostest out of a pallet by looping it over and over and over again, if you're good, if you play well, you can take the much, much safer option of just pre-dropping the pallet and getting a guaranteed amount of pressure on the killer by forcing them to at least break it or play around it. So that is a thing that, kind of a sweaty, kind of competitive kind of thing that has seeped its way into PUBG is just like, pre-drop all the time. Even if I'm not in any danger, if it doesn't make sense, just pre-drop all the time because it's so safe and it's so good. Against the Xenomorph, that will just get you clobbered, because the Xenomorph, like we have, keep referring to, does not have much of a windup for their attack. So if you just pre-drop in front of the Xenomorph, that tail's going up and over that pallet and it's smacking you. That tail's going up and over that pallet and that is smacking you. So That is not a good plan. However, if for whatever reason you are married to the idea, of pre-dropping, you think it's good, you want to do it, you should be pre-dropping from super far away, because the Xenomorph's tail is much shorter than Nemesis's tail whip. I think it's by like a meter and a half. So it's much shorter. It's much shorter than Nemesis's. So it's not like if you know, with Nemesis where you pre-drop from far away, Nemesis is probably still going to hit you. If you pre-drop from far away, the Xenomorph can't really do anything about it. The Xenomorph now just has to play the tile normally, or try to bait you into running in front of the pallet again so they can go for a second attack. But if you pre-drop super early, you pre-drop from super far away, the Xenomorph can't really do anything about that. So if you are married to the idea of pre-dropping, if you want to pre-drop, you have to pre-drop, you better be doing it with the Xenomorph far away and doing it super early, because that's where the Xenomorph can't really do anything about it. But if you do it like close, within that, like, what is it, 4 point something meters that the tail whip has, if you do that super close, then they're just going to hit you over it. So don't pre-drop close to the Xenomorph. It is a death sentence. But if you pre-drop from far away, the character can't really do much about it. So yeah, those are some tips. Hopefully they're helpful for you out there if you're playing Survivor and you're absolutely frustrated with facing the Xenomorph. Hopefully things help you play better, help you get better results against this killer. I know it's a tremendously difficult time. A lot of people are still learning how to play against them, how much of the problems they have are objective, how many of the problems are just kind of like people overreacting because the character's brand new. Who knows? But these are some things I have found in the short time that I have made the character that I find that I hate going against, that I find are effective when people do these things against me. So hopefully you can take these, put them in your skill set, and hopefully have better matches against the Xenomorph. But other than that, that'll be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today. But I do upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I do not, I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.